The Easter announcement, remember the moment she said it. Her tone wasn't trembling, wasn't uncertain, it was surgical, precise, cold. "I've decided to have surgery," she said, not looking at me. "I want to stay childless, permanently." The clink of her spoon against the cup echoed louder than the words themselves. I watched the steam rise from her coffee, the way her hand rested casually on the table, as if she hadn't just shattered something inside me. For a moment, I said nothing, just watched. Outside, the rain tapped against the glass like an audience waiting for my reaction. Finally, I said, "Your decision." That was it. No argument, no pleading, no anger, just 2 words. She looked up then, searching my face for something, maybe shock, maybe resistance. She found nothing, because I had already stopped feeling anything for her. She didn't notice the silence that followed wasn't grief, it was calculation. By the time she reached for my hand, I had already made a decision of my own. It began long before her surgery, long before that morning when she rehearsed her words like a line in a play. The signs were there, quiet, scattered, almost invisible. Late replies, sudden errands, the way she started turning her phone upside down whenever it buzzed. I wanted to believe it was work, or stress, or simply boredom. But the distance between us wasn't ordinary, it was deliberate. She began sleeping facing the wall, started saying, "You wouldn't understand," every time I asked what was wrong. And yet, she'd come home wearing perfume she never wore for me. I didn't accuse her, I didn't shout, I simply observed. There's a particular kind of silence that grows between two people, a silence filled with all the words they stopped saying. That silence was our home now. Her best friend, Elena, became more present during that time, always texting, always calling, always checking in. Sometimes they'd go out together. Other times, Elena would drop by with wine and stay until late. I never interfered. I let them think I wasn't paying attention, but I was. Every smile, every whisper, every look exchanged when they thought I wasn't watching, I recorded it all. It wasn't suspicion anymore, it was evidence gathering. I didn't know what truth I was hunting yet, but I could smell it, and it reeked of betrayal. I started small. A phone left unlocked one evening while she showered. A message preview flashing across the screen, "You did the right thing. He'll get over it." No name attached, just a gray icon. I took a photo, locked the phone again, said nothing. 2 weeks later, she mentioned her upcoming surgery again, casually, as if reminding me to buy groceries. I asked where it would be done. She told me. I made a note. Then I visited the clinic myself. The receptionist confirmed her appointment, scheduled under her maiden name. When I asked, "Can the procedure be canceled if she changes her mind?" she said, "Of course, but it's rare they do." I thanked her, left. That night I stared at the woman beside me as she slept, and wondered how many layers of deception a person could wear before they forgot who they were underneath. Her distance wasn't guilt, it was comfort. She had convinced herself that I was too dull, too compliant to ever suspect anything. But here's what she never understood about me. I never raise my voice. I never act on impulse. When someone betrays me, I don't explode. I dismantle, piece by piece. The first piece fell when I checked her call history. A frequent number, unknown. When I dialed it, the voice that answered was painfully familiar. Elena. She hung up before I spoke. I didn't need to call back. Everything clicked in that moment. The secrecy, the laughter, the comforting hand on her shoulder. They weren't sharing wine. They were sharing secrets. And that surgery, it wasn't independence. It was loyalty to someone else's truth. I decided then, I wouldn't confront her, not yet. I'd wait for her to think she'd won. The clinic called one morning to confirm the surgery date. She wasn't home. I told them she'd canceled. They thanked me, hung up. Then I waited. That evening, she came home smiling faintly. like someone who'd finally escaped an invisible burden. "I did it," she said. Her tone was calm, almost relieved. "Good for you," I replied. She didn't notice the slight curve of my lips. 2 days later, she received a message from Elena. Her phone lit up beside me on the counter. I told him. He didn't take it well. "He'll move on," she replied. And that's when I realized it wasn't just emotional betrayal, it was collaboration. She hadn't wanted to stay childless for herself. She had done it because Elena wanted to start a family with me. The irony tasted bitter, exquisite. They had plotted to remove my wife from motherhood entirely, and I was supposed to mourn quietly while they built a future in secret. But the future had already been rewritten. By me. I filed for divorce 2 weeks later. No drama, no accusations, just a signed paper, a quiet goodbye, and the same 2 words I'd spoken that morning. Your decision. She didn't even ask why. That's how sure she was of her power. But power, when unexamined, becomes blindness. 3 months later, I married Elena. Not for love, not even for revenge, for revelation. Easter morning arrived like a quiet storm. Family gathered, candles lit. Elena placed her trembling hand over mine as she whispered, "I have news." Her voice broke, and she smiled. "I'm pregnant." The word hung in the air like a confession. Across the table, my ex-wife froze, eyes wide, lips parted, color draining from her face. For the first time, her mask cracked, and I watched her crumble, silently, beautifully, under the weight of her own choices. The child she thought she'd erased from my life was growing inside her best friend. She stood abruptly, knocking over her glass. Water spilled, spreading across the table like a slow, deliberate wound. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just watched. Because in that moment, she finally saw what I had seen months ago. That control is an illusion, and I had taken hers away completely. I walked her to the door when she tried to leave. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes, once sharp, confident, were empty now. She whispered, "You planned this." I said nothing, because some truths don't need words. She looked past me, at Elena, then back at me, realization flooding in too late. The silence between us returned, heavier than ever. When the door closed behind her, I didn't feel triumph, only quiet. A perfect, deliberate quiet. I never reached out again, never checked on her, never explained. Revenge doesn't need applause. It only needs precision, and mine was perfect. That Easter morning, she lost everything she thought she controlled, and I gained something far more valuable than love or victory. I gained peace. Cold, calculated, unforgiving peace. She wanted to be childless forever. I simply gave her wish meaning.